Hello, what's going on, guys? Well, I finally got the RG Eva Unit 1 in and I want to review that. But before we review that one, I have this other one here, which I got not too long ago, which also just recently came out. But this is actually not a new kit, as far as I understand. It's basically just like a repackage of the old one. So I want to take a look at this kit first. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And this, of course, is also Eva Unit 1, but this is the LMHG version, which came out, I think, like back in like the end of late 90s, I think, originally. Again, I think we'll have to check the runners, and I'm not sure if it will say actually on the runners, but yeah, this is the old HG version of the Eva, now repackaged and re-released. So I'm not actually sure what exactly is going to be totally different from the old version of this, but I want to build this kit up and take a look at this, and then build the RG next, and then we'll be able to compare the old HG or the old newly repackaged HG with the RG, and we can see, you know, the pros and cons of each. I'm sure obviously the pros will mostly be going to the RG, but we'll see what this kit has to offer as well. So let's just take a look at the box here first. On the ends of the box here, you can see the Evangelion 2020 logo that's going to be here on this new repackaged version of this kit, and it says the LMHG Evangelion Test Type Unit 01 Evangelion New Theatrical Edition Theater Release Commemoration Package version. So this is basically a new repackaged version to commemorate the release of the fourth and final rebuild movie. If we go around here over onto the side of the box, you can see there's like an image there, advertisement for the final movie there. And I gotta say, the artwork looking really nice. I love that. Can't wait to watch the final movie. And then a look at what the kit is gonna look like when it's all painted up. Looks like Eva Unit 1 there, of course. We do have an included AT field effect. I'm not sure exactly how well that effect part is going to work or how good that's going to look. I mean, it looks pretty cool, but how it's going to work like in use with the Eva, we'll see how good like the articulation and everything of the Eva is. And there's a look at everything that's included. You get a sticker sheet and just your usual or expected set of weapons and everything with that. And that's what the kit looks like, just straight out of the box, built without any painting or anything. And it does look pretty good, I gotta say, without any painting on it. The color separation does look pretty good for an HG. Around on the other side, we got some more details about this. It includes the progressive knife, a head, entry plug, umbilical cable, markings to go around on it, some different hand options, details there. It looks pretty nice. And the pallet gun. And I gotta say, this kit does look pretty nice. Obviously, this is a fully painted up sample version of the kit, so of course it's gonna look pretty good. But I don't know, at least at this point, I'm pretty hopeful that this kit is actually gonna be not that bad considering its age. But let's get a look here at what we got inside the box and we'll see. So inside here, we've got 6 bags of runners and our AT field effect part there, and then our instruction manual as well. So on the front of the instruction manual, we just got the same box art there once again. Evangelion Test Type 01, multi-purpose humanoid decisive weapon, artificial human. Very creative name there, Ano. And then the front and rear view here on the back with the full color guide and everything. Again, when it comes to painting this, I'll probably just use the official Eva Gaia Notes paints that I have, fortunately, but there you can see the color mixtures if you want. And those are all in Japanese and in English. I have to imagine the older version of this did not have any English in the manual, so that's one addition to this new repackaged version of this, is that they've got English in the manual now, so that's pretty cool. And then you can see just so sample images here to see where all the colors go around on the kit. So nice to have just for reference there. Opening it up to the front, and apparently there's not really too much else to see on the inside of the manual here. So it's just kind of straight to business. Cool though that we got the nerve markings up there at the top there as well. That's pretty interesting. And then we got the parts list, and it looks like we got some leftover parts that are not going to be used for this. So that's interesting as well. I wonder what the reasoning for that exactly is, but we'll see once we get a look at the runners and get to building it. But we got a parts list there with a handful of leftover parts, looks like, and then it's just straight on into the construction, building the chest unit first, and then the head, the arms. It looks to be kind of like standard HG construction. And again, I'm wondering if this is the same as how it was, because a lot of older kits, the order of how the kits went together was a little bit different, so I don't know if this is the same or different. Maybe in the original version, the order of how you built up the kit maybe was different from this, but it doesn't really matter too much. It's just the order of that. It looks like we do have an action base, little adapter there that would plug right into his bum. Can't wait to hear all the Jobby-the-Hung jokes about that. And the back does open up for the entry plug as well. That's pretty cool. And there's a bit about the weapons. Looks like the pallet gun is just 2 parts sandwiched together, and that's it. There, the progressive knife, pretty simple in here as well. And then just how to kind of equip or how to use the effect part there for the AT field, And that's it. Let's get into the runners. Alright, so first up here are the foil stickers, and it's not a whole lot. There's just a few in orange and green there for like the shoulder markings. A couple of those orange circles I think are probably going on like the knuckles, and then we got some eye stickers there. And it looks like you got the eye stickers with the option of white or orange for the eyes. And then we do have some dry transfer decals here as well, which will go on the side of the arms. It looks like you have the choice on which type of decal you want to put on the arms, so that's pretty cool. And then a couple of just ones there as well, so pretty nice to have those included as well. We got the PC118 for our polycap runner here in black. Then you have the wire here, which is going to be used for the umbilical cable, which looks to be pretty much the same as what was included with the RG Eva Unit 0, I think, if I remember correctly, but we'll compare for sure. And here's a look at the AT field effect part, and it's pretty sparkly, shiny, as you can see. It definitely seems to be a little bit better on this side. I think you can see that effect even more. It's pretty crazy. On the back side, it's a little bit kind of diluted, and it looks like that kind of white effect is kind of sprayed around here on this side as well, so it's pretty cool looking. And then runner A1 here is in 3 colors. We got some just gray over here on the side, and then that bright orange color over here, and the super neon bright green up there as well. It's very neon. We do also have runner A2 as well, which is a copy of this section of the runner here. Now these runners are from 2007 actually, so I thought this kit was older, or I thought the original kit was older, but it's only from 2007, which is not that old. But also I know they didn't have this cutout style of runner label here. The A1 you can see is cut out. In 2007 I'm sure they weren't doing that at that time, so I don't know if the runners were revamped in any way other than just editing this part there of the runner. I would imagine all the parts generally are the same as what they would have been at that time, that just for some reason they changed that new part on the runner there. The runner B here, a bunch of parts in that Evangelion classic purple color. And runner C1 here is a bunch of parts in black, and C2 as well as a few more parts there in black also. Runner D is a few more parts here in purple. Runner E, some more parts in that super bright green. Runner F is going to be all our hand parts here in purple, obviously, and this is in a little bit softer plastic. It's not as hard as typical polystyrene plastic for the rest of the parts. And then runner I here is also a little bit different in that this is ABS plastic for this runner of some more black parts, for obviously some more of kind of the inner frame sort of quote-unquote parts of the Evangelion. Then runner J, another interesting one, as this is a multi-injection runner here where they've got, I think, just like regular polystyrene or ABS plastic, is it? Yeah, ABS on the inside, and then PP plastic, which is like the softer polycap style kind of plastic, softer rubber kind of plastic around the outside. So this is going to be like your sort of like RG style joint parts, where you've got the frame kind of pre-molded. These are the parts for the forearms, and like the elbow joint are pre-molded in here with this softer rubber coating around the outside, so you can bend that without seeing a visible elbow joint there. So it'll be interesting to see how well that ends up looking or working on the kit. Runner K here is just a few parts in a kind of medium gray color for the rifle, and then the plug for the umbilical cable. Runner M is a couple little parts there in red. And then lastly, runner O is from 2010, so it actually came out a little bit later. I'm not exactly sure, again, what the deal is with that, but this is another multicolor runner here with green, purple, and gray on here. And also the thing that I can tell so far, just looking at the parts, is that this is going to be larger than the real grade. Again, I haven't built the real grade 01 yet, but just based on what I know of the real grade Unit 0, that this is definitely going to be a larger scale. But as for the official scale of this, I actually don't know. I'm sure someone has done the calculations. You can probably find that information online, but I don't know exactly what it would be. Evangelions in the anime are larger than what Gundams are, so the scaling is going to be totally different, but I think this is going to be a little bit more comparable to a larger size 1/100 scale Gundam. It's going to be a pretty good size. So I'm looking forward to getting this built up, seeing what it's like. I'll get it all built up here, and then we'll take a look at it. So here it is all built up, and at this moment I still couldn't say if there's anything really different about this kit other than what you could buy before, other than the box art. I know that that last runner that we saw in there was a runner of like alternate parts that are going to replace some other parts that were maybe from the original parts of the original kit, but I think there was previously already multiple versions of this kit out, I think 2 different versions. So while nothing, as far as I know, on this kit is new, and it does seem to be for the most part just a repackage of the original kit, I am also wondering if maybe the colors are changed a little bit. That super bright neon green, I'm wondering if that was maybe a different shade of green in the original kit as well. But anyway, as you guys can see, that neon green is very bright, and so it does seem to be a reflection of kind of how the Evangelion appeared more so in the rebuild movies. Those bright green parts were a lot brighter, I think, in the rebuild movies. But anyway, it was pretty fun to build, and there are some questionable aspects about it. I think there's some obvious pros and cons here, but there does seem to be some very nice points to this kit as well, so let's go ahead and check it out. So first, let's just take a look at the accessories, and I just want to mention about the foil stickers here. As we saw earlier, there is options for the eye stickers, orange or white. I went with the white stickers, but what I want to mention here is the stickers for the hands. So you have these little orange circles that go on your different hand options, the orange circle on the thumb, and then a smaller one there for the top of the finger. They don't really fit on very well, and I only bothered to put them on these open hands like this. On the other hands, I didn't obviously bother putting them in. Also, you have these optional stickers here for the side of the arm, whether you want the EVA 1 logo there or not. You can choose between those stickers there. So as for our hand options, on the left side you have this like open expressive hand like this, and then you also have this open, a little bit more kind of just resting hand, I guess, or a rifle support hand, I suppose this could be actually. But no holding hands for the left hand. Over here for the right side you have the same open hand like that, then you also have the trigger finger hand for holding the rifle, this holding hand with the thumb extended for holding your knife, and another holding hand that's made to hold something circular that is not included with this kit. So I'm guessing this is maybe for the Lance of Longinus, which is not included with this kit, but if you have a different kit, you could give it to this kit as an optional accessory. Now on the hands, just one thing I do want to mention here is that they do seem to fall apart very easily. You'll notice that these hands are not really plugged in there super well, and as you're moving these around, it's just because the hands are in a softer plastic, they just kind of crumble apart a little bit too easily. Also, I'm noticing that they also pop out of the wrist joint very easily as well. So while that's a bit annoying while you're trying to pose the kit, it does seem like it's an easy enough fix with a little bit of glue, not really a big deal to sort that out. As for the progressive knife, here it is. It's cool that it's in 2 different colors, and that can fold up, but it's just kind of meant to just be equipped like that and held in the hand. We do also have that folded version which will fit up here in the shoulder, so this will just open up, these doors out to the side, and this one lifts up like that. They can plug this up into there, and it's going to look like that to show the knife kind of popping out of there. So that's a pretty cool gimmick. I like the way that that looks. It does look pretty nice. And of course the pellet rifle, just 2 pieces slapped together, so you have a seam line down the middle of that, no color separation or anything. While the mold of it, the detail does look pretty nice. It's pretty accurate to how it should look, of course. It is just going to be a little bit plain straight out of the box. And the same thing basically goes for the umbilical cable as well too. Some painting, some detailing this will make it look a little bit better, but that said, it is an accessory which just plugs into the back, so it's not exactly like in the foreground or anything. That just plugs onto there pretty securely, and then you have this nice cable going out the bottom of that. Now, nothing to plug that into, unfortunately, different from the RG, so that's a little bit disappointing. But while we're here, let's take a look at the opening cockpit, or the opening, I guess, entry plug system here, is what I should say. Actually, how that works is you need to pull this part up first. It's a little bit hard to get a grab on that, but that part lifts up, and then this other part lifts up. But again, a little bit easier said than done, so I'm going to use my tweezers here to try to get up into there to pull that up. There we go. Raise up like that and open this back up like that. And then the reason why you had to pull that up and out, because that actually pulls out the entry plug. It's stored in there, and then by raising that part up, it pulls out the entry plug at the same time. So otherwise it would just be kind of stuck down there and you wouldn't be able to get at it. But because you pull those parts out, it pulls out the entry plug, and there it is like that. So that will just stick back into there like that. And it's actually a pretty cool gimmick the way that that pops out of there. I like that. Now we do also have an action-based connector and our AT field effect part as well, of course, but I want to talk a little bit about the leftover parts, because as I was mentioning before, they're basically alternate versions of the parts that we got. So you can see this is the leftover part. It doesn't have that extra little line detail on the side of the arm here. Also, like this part here for the top of the arm has the different shape for the logo there on the top, and also you don't have any piece or anything to go in the middle of that, so you couldn't really use this for anything really. But you could use something like this, which is the alternate piece here for the back of the arm as well. This is just a different shape to it, and also I think the sticker probably wouldn't fit on there exactly right as well. It's a little green sticker there on the front. It's a little bit different shape for this one, but if you preferred this shape of this one, you could use that instead. And also here in the torso, this 1, 2, 3 rings that fit around the torso section there, you have alternate versions of those too, which are just very slightly different in their shape. So I mean, there's not going to be a real super noticeable difference there, but it's very subtle in the difference between those old pieces as well. Then we have a different version of the neck piece as well, which the orange piece is like a little bit different shaped, a little bit longer in that. And then also leftover pieces here for in the head for making the bulgy big eyes there. So if you wanted to make like the berserk form of this, you can make that. Just by using the different pieces there in the head, and then the part for the top of the head is also a little bit different shape to accommodate for the larger eye in there. So if you wanted to make that version of it with the big bulging eyes, you can make that actually just with these leftover parts there for in the head. Now let's get into the articulation. So first of all, the head has a double joint there in like the neck for that, so that can move up to about there, and then it can move up even further at the base of the neck for a really nice upward angle there of the head. It looks pretty good. And then down all the way to there, so the neck movement is nice, and then of course side to side as there as well. The mouth does open up. If you tilt the head in the right way, you can get that mouth fully opened up like that, and you do have little red pieces inside the mouth there as well, so the color separation there looking pretty nice. This is a sticker though, of course, here on the horn. Otherwise, that's just a purple piece. On the front of the chest too, these little flaps will move side to side on their own. Those are individually articulated. The arm itself is on a ball joint, but it's also connected into the torso via kind of a ball joint there as well. So you got some nice shoulder movement there. Ultimately though, you can only bring the arm up to about there, which is like 45 degrees, which is pretty pitiful for upward movement there of the arm. And you've got a little bit of forward and back movement here as well, but again, it's not going to be too much really to write home about. This whole shoulder section is connected via a polycap there at the back of the shoulder, so this can move a little bit as well. And then the elbow. So of course the elbow is part of this whole pre-molded part with this soft rubber around it, this black plastic, and so you've got a bend there, but it doesn't, just because of that rubber coating on it, it doesn't work that well. You can only really bend it to there, which is like not even 90 degrees, and you can see like the bend in the soft rubber, and it's like coming loose or just coming separated back there at the back of the arm. So it's kind of, I mean, if you don't have the arm doing anything, you just have it down like that. It's nice that you don't have any visible joint here in the elbow, but otherwise for doing action poses, I think the rubber was definitely not a very good choice for this kit, so I definitely would have preferred just a standard joint like what we have down here in the knee. I don't mind that. But anyway, as you might expect, here in the midsection, it's like an accordion joint, just like with the RG kits, and as you might expect it to be, you've got multiple joints there to get really nice bend forward and back, side to side, and turning every which way you want the torso to bend there, so the articulation there in the midsection, very nice. For the legs, you're able to get them separated out all the way to there, which is a pretty nice wide stance, but as you can see, getting a little bit loose, it's not really able to hold that, at least just while I'm holding it up by the leg. If I'm holding it up by the body, the legs are fine like that. Forward and back movement, obviously not going to be a problem with this at all, and then the bend in the knee is going to give you a nice double joint there with the separation of that knee armor piece there like that. Then on here for the ankle, you can point the foot to there. You've got a little bit of toe bend here as well, and this front ankle armor is connected onto the front of the foot, and that's just also on a ball joint, so that will also move around a little bit on there as well. You can put the foot all the way forward to there too, and you got some nice detail underneath, but it's not color separated as much like the RG, of course, but the detail is there if you wanted to paint that in. And so, well, of course, I don't have the RG01 built up yet. Just for a comparison, here it is with the RG Unit 0, and just comparing like the details and overall look of the kits. The RG, of course, looks incredible in comparison to this. While I think this kit is certainly solid, it's definitely lacking the details and color separation that the RG has, which it does have. I mean, the color separation on this kit is good. Man, the RG is certainly looking very good and doesn't have so much of that shiny, plasticky look just straight out of the box here as well. And then just for a comparison with a HG Gundam kit, there's the HG ARC-72. So as you can see, the real grade and this HG LM kit of the Evangelion are both going to be much larger than your standard HG Gundam kit. So yeah, definitely those hands kind of crumbling on you, whether you're just using the open hands or the holding hands, those can be annoying while you're doing different poses, so definitely going to want to use some glue on those. And also just holding the knife in general, while the hand is like the perfect shape for holding the knife, it just doesn't really want to stay in there really well, so maybe just a little bit of glue or just a little sticky tack or something just to help keep the knife in the hand if that's how you want to display the kit. But aside from the hands and the wrists being a little bit loose, otherwise the rest of the kit seems pretty solid enough. I'm not really experiencing anything really being too loose or anything. It's able to pose actually quite well. So again, for this being an older just kit, HG kit, I say HG kit, it's not anything similar to anything HG that we typically think of with Gunpla, but it still has the HG title. But anyway, it's definitely a little bit more complex than what we standardly would think of for an HG kit, I think. It's a really nice kit actually, despite it being a little bit older. And while it does have some notable cons like the pre-molded parts for the elbow, I mean, it's a cool idea, but it doesn't really work that well with the kit. I mean, again, depending on your pose, it looks okay, but over time I'm also worried about if that rubber will also just get kind of like either cracked or gummy or something. I feel like just over time that rubber for the arms is not going to hold up well. And then the other main issue of this kit, especially compared to the RG, is just going to be in seam lines. This kit has seam lines on the front and back of the thighs, the upper arms, the green parts there, also the back of the legs, and it's got just a handful of seam lines around on the kit that obviously you wouldn't have with the RG with its just a much superior part separation. But that said, again, the part separation on this kit I feel like is pretty good. You have pretty much all your colors represented there except for like the stickers on the side of the arms basically. Little green one on the front of the forearm guard bits, and then the little one on the eyes, and then the horn as well. That's, I mean, you know, pretty simple. The other main difference just going to be in the size. This one being larger than the RG might be appealing to some people if you wanted something a little bit bigger to put up on your shelf. The RG though, I will say, I mean, it's a pretty big, these RGs are pretty sizable, but this one is a little bit bigger, so maybe that is more appealing to some people. But then again, of course, the trade-off is that it also is lacking in some detail. It's not quite as detailed. So, I mean, there's pros and cons. This one's also a little bit cheaper than the RG, so if you wanted to save yourself a little bit of money, I think this is definitely still a viable option. But then again, it's not that much cheaper, so I think probably for a bang for your buck, the RG is going to be ultimately the better buy, of course, but I do think that this kit is certainly not, you know, completely worthless now that the RG is out. There's still a lot of value, I think, to be had in this kit as well. So let me know if you guys do have any other further questions or comments about this. What do you think about it? Is there anything different about this new version that I missed to point out to you guys? Do you know, do you have the original release of this kit? I don't, so I don't really know much about it, but let me know if I missed anything. And as always, guys, thank you so much for your support. Check out the link to USA Gundam Store there down below, and you can use my coupon code there to save 10% off everything there on the site. And looking forward to building up the RG next is so we can do a proper side-by-side comparison between the two next week. Until then, guys, y'all have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.